Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing a review of Girls of Fate and Fury. This is the final book in the Girls of Paper and Fire trilogy. So if you're familiar with the first book, Girls of Paper and Fire, it is about a young girl named Lei who gets chosen to be a paper girl, meaning that she has to be one of the concubines for the Demon King for a year. Lei obviously isn't happy about this for a number of reasons. But not only is she the first paper girl to rebel in pretty much the history of time, she also ends up falling in love with one of the other girls while she's there. I do have full reviews of both the first and the second book, so I will have those linked in the description if you're interested. I would also like to say that you should pay attention to the author's notes at the beginning of each book. In this one, there is mention of suicide ideation as well as self-harm. And in book one, while there is sexual assault, none of it is on page, but the aftermath of it is very felt as the girls do talk to each other about it. So, Girls of Fate and Fury. I ended up rating this 3 stars. I do feel that the rating could have been higher. However, this book didn't need to be over 400 pages. A lot of it was dragged out and you could feel that extra stuff was just added for length, and I don't like that. For example, there's something that is mentioned at the beginning of the book, I think twice, and you know who it's about because it's very obvious, but it's never addressed until the very end of the book, like very end, and it was completely unnecessary. Like, if that was going to be thrown in, if it wasn't going to be addressed to the end of the book, it didn't need to be brought up until the end of the book. That being said, a 3-star rating isn't bad. It just wasn't great. It wasn't my favorite. It was just average. Out of the 3 books, I enjoyed the first one the most, and I would definitely recommend it if it sounds interesting to you. Obviously, since this is the finale of the trilogy, there will be tons of spoilers for Girls of Paper and Fire and Girls of Storm and Shadow, as well as this one. So if you've not yet started the series or have read the first 2 but haven't gotten to this one yet, this is your official spoiler warning. Alright, so I've got my notes here, and let's start with the questions that I had at the end of Girls of Paper and Fire. None of those questions were answered in Girls of Storm and Shadow. Some of them were answered here. So my first question was, would we ever see the Demon Queen? And we finally do. It was really interesting, not at all what I expected. And it turns out that she hates the Demon King as much as anybody else, so that was great to see. She is also pregnant when we meet her, which means that the Demon King now has an heir, meaning that the tyrannical rule that is already in Ikara will continue. And when Lei meets her, it is very clear that she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want the king to have his heir. So Lei does go out of her way to try to save her, which I really appreciated. My other question was, would Lei be reunited with her family? And finally, she is, and it was a really good moment. So we're happy about that. My third question was it possible that Lei's mom was actually still alive? The answer for that one is no. But I feel like there was something in Girls of Paper and Fire that made me think that possibly she was. Something that the Demon King said to her. And Lei did say, maybe he said that just to mess with me, and it appears that that was the situation. But it gave me hope, and I'm a little mad about it. Okay, so my last question was, why are Lei's eyes gold? I don't think that was ever answered, I'm not gonna lie. Once I got to like the last 2 chapters, I just started skimming because I was so irritated because I just wanted it to be over. But this cover, her eyes don't look gold anymore, which I was like, why is that? And there's not an answer. So, I mean, it's fine, I guess. Previously, when I did my reviews, I would start off with characters. I don't feel the need to do that this time because it would be the 3rd time of me talking about the same characters. While I didn't hate the romance between Lei and Ren in book 1, in book 2, it was really annoying. Like, Lei's point of view was super annoying because she would just talk about how pretty Ren is all the time, and I get it, I do. However, y'all are literally on the run and trying to figure out how to take down the kingdom. Like, I don't need to hear Ren's so beautiful it hurts 50,000 times. And in this one, I kind of feel the same way. Particularly, I was pissed at Lei at the end of Girls on Storm and Shadow because she like storms off from everybody and gets herself captured. Not that she intentionally got herself captured, but it was stupid. You didn't know where you were. Why are you storming off like this, you know? So there was that. Also, in Girls of Storm and Shadow, there were singular chapters where we got different perspectives outside of Lei and Ren, and I really enjoyed that. And I kind of wish that she had kept that in this one because it was just nice to be in someone else's head for a minute, because Lei's always thinking about Ren and Ren's always thinking about Lei. Like, give me something else. There's other characters here. I like those other characters. Give me more, you know? So now we're gonna get into my dislikes and likes, and to be honest, just the pacing of this did not work for me, so I ended up having more dislikes than likes. So starting with my dislikes, so we can sort of end on a positive note, I still fucking hate Lova. She is constantly disrespecting Lei and Ren's relationship, and I was pissed at Ren in the second book for not standing up for the relationship, not telling Lova to back off, and she still doesn't do that. And then we find out that Lova is the one who got Ren's mother killed in order to convince Gatai to start the war, which is really fucked up. Like, don't sit there and say that you love me and you fucking got my mom killed for a fucking war. Like, I don't know. Not finding that out until the end and how easily Ren forgave her, it just didn't sit right with me. She, in general, just, I fucking hate her as a character. My other dislike is Blue. Supposedly there's something between Lova and Blue, and I picked up on it, but at the same time, is this not the same bitch who was constantly making homophobic comments to Lei and Ren? And I understand that internalized homophobia is a thing, but was it needed here? No. Did it add anything to the story? No. Did Blue need to be made even more of a despicable character than she was previously? No. So what was the point? And my biggest dislike in this entire book, Aoki. I wanted to like her so much in the first book. I really did. I really liked the friendship that she and Lei had formed. And then this bitch convinced herself that she was in love with the Demon King, and I couldn't do it. I genuinely just could not do it. And I want to give her the benefit of the doubt because she is young. But for you to turn your back and suddenly hate your so-called best friend over a man? Over a man who don't give a fuck about you. Over a man who don't give a fuck about you and literally ordered your fucking execution. After that point, the fact that Aoki still held on to him and still thought that she was in love with him, that I can't get with that. And perhaps thinking that she was in love with the Demon King is the way that she coped with the situation that they were in, but I have a hard time understanding how you love someone who is literally raping all of your friends. Maybe it's Stockholm Syndrome or some other condition related to that, but it was just really hard to read and it hurt Lei so much. And it was like, how did you go from being her best friend to hating her so much? Over something that, yeah, she did stab him in the neck. However, this whole situation was created by the Demon King, not her. Okay, so my phone just decided to kick me out of the camera. I don't understand what that was about, but cool. We're gonna hurry this up though. I want to give Aoki the benefit of the doubt, but the way she treated Lei, I just can't get past it. And after he ordered their execution, that's the part where I'm like, how are you still holding on to this? How do you still think that he ever cared about you? But she came around in the end. They're friends again, so I'm happy about that. Oh, she really irked my soul in this one. As far as my likes, I only have 2 of them. Like I said, I didn't hate this book. It just wasn't the best thing and it was way too long. So my first like was that Naja got her ass handed to her by both Lei and Ren, and it was fucking fantastic because I hate that bitch with a burning passion. I hate the Demon King the most, obviously, but Naja is right there. And lastly, my favorite thing about this is that the Demon King finally dies at Lei's hand. It is perfect. And even better, the Demon Queen, Shala, is the one that burns his body. That was just beautiful. I love it. So, like I said, I didn't love this book. I was just ready for all of it to end. I wanted the conclusion. I didn't even like the fact that Demon King survived at the end of Girls, Paper, and Fire. And frankly, that's the reason that I only gave it like 3.5 stars. But I'm glad we finally got it. And honestly, I'm glad this was just a trilogy. I don't think I could have kept going if it was longer. But those are all of my thoughts on Girls of Fate and Fury. Let me know if you have read this or if it's on your TBR. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.